Did you know that the UK's middle class is shrinking faster than ever before? In fact, a recent report shows that over 9 million people have fallen out of the middle class in the past decade alone. That's more than the population of London. And it's not just about falling behind. It's about the disappearing dream of home ownership, job security, and financial independence. But why is this happening? How did we get to the point where more and more hard-working families are struggling to maintain the lifestyle they once thought was secure? In today's video, we're diving into 10 shocking reasons the middle class is vanishing right before our eyes. From the exploding cost of living to automation taking away jobs, it's clear that the rules have changed, and not in their favour. We'll uncover how skyrocketing housing prices are locking young families out of home ownership, why job benefits are becoming a thing of the past, and how financial illiteracy is leaving many in the dark about their own financial future. Plus, we'll reveal the impact of education and healthcare costs that are leaving families barely scraping by. This isn't just some vague economic trend. This is a crisis that's affecting millions of people, and if you don't pay attention now, you might be the next one caught in the crossfire. Stick around until the end, because what you learn today could change the way you see your financial future. Number 1. Skyrocketing housing costs. One of the most significant reasons why the UK's middle class is shrinking is the skyrocketing housing costs. Over the past few decades, the price of property, particularly in major cities like London, Manchester, and Birmingham, has outpaced wage growth, making it nearly impossible for the average middle-class family to afford their own home. Take London, for example. The average house price has now exceeded £500,000, and even more affordable areas are seeing drastic increases. With the UK facing a housing supply shortage, demand continues to outstrip availability, further pushing prices higher. As a result, the dream of home ownership, which was once a hallmark of middle-class success, is becoming increasingly unattainable for many. For younger generations, the struggle is even harder. Many young adults are unable to secure enough savings for a deposit due to rising rents, inflation, and stagnant wages. In fact, studies show that it now takes an average of 25 years for first-time buyers to save enough for a down payment. And even then, the homes they can afford are often far from ideal. Instead of saving for a future or an investment, they're stuck pouring money into high-rent properties or temporary housing solutions. The impact of this housing crisis is far-reaching. It doesn't just affect finances. It creates a sense of instability and uncertainty for families. People are now spending a larger portion of their income on housing, leaving them with little left over for retirement savings, vacations, or even healthcare. So, what's the way out? Some families are choosing to rent long-term, while others are considering moving to smaller cities or rural areas where prices are lower. But unless there are serious policy changes to address the housing crisis, the middle class will continue to shrink under the weight of these soaring housing costs. Number 2. Stagnant wages and inflation. While housing costs continue to surge, another key reason behind the shrinking UK middle class is stagnant wages, which have failed to keep pace with inflation over the past decade. Essentially, wages are not growing fast enough to match the increasing cost of living, which leaves families with less disposable income to spend on necessities or save for the future. For many workers, wage growth has been flat for years, despite an increase in the cost of goods and services, including food, energy, and transport. Salaries have not seen the same upward momentum. According to the Office for National Statistics, ONS, wage growth has been below inflation rates, meaning workers are actually earning less in real terms than they did a few years ago. This is particularly troubling in a country like the UK, where everyday essentials are becoming more expensive and wages aren't stretching as far. This wage stagnation creates a vicious cycle. As inflation continues to erode the purchasing power of the middle class, they find themselves tightening their belts even further. Essential items, like groceries and utilities, take up a growing portion of family budgets leaving less room for luxuries, savings, or future investments. Meanwhile, household debt is on the rise, as families are forced to rely on credit to make ends meet. Moreover, job security has become more fragile, particularly with the rise of contract and part-time work in certain sectors. These roles are often paid less and come with fewer benefits, such as healthcare or pensions, which only compounds the issue. To cope with stagnant wages, some individuals are taking on second jobs or turning to side hustles to supplement their incomes. However, without a significant boost in wages or a reduction in inflationary pressures, many middle-class families are finding it increasingly difficult to maintain their standard of living. Number 3. Growing debt burden. Another critical factor contributing to the shrinking middle class in the UK is the growing debt burden that many families are carrying. From credit card debt to student loans and mortgages, more and more people are struggling under the weight of their financial obligations, which makes it harder to build wealth, save for the future, or achieve financial stability. According to recent data, consumer debt in the UK has reached alarming levels, with households owing a significant amount on credit cards, loans, and other forms of credit. The Bank of England reports that household debt has increased, and many middle-class families are relying heavily on borrowing just to get by. In fact, credit card debt alone has risen to over £70 billion, with many families carrying high interest balances month after month. One of the largest contributors to growing debt is student loans. As tuition fees continue to rise, many young people are starting their working lives with tens of thousands of pounds in debt. This student loan burden not only impacts their ability to buy homes or save for the future, but it also keeps them in a cycle of debt for decades, preventing them from building wealth or achieving financial independence. Mortgages also play a significant role in the growing debt issue, especially as house prices continue to climb. Many homeowners are now stretched to their limits, spending a large percentage of their monthly income on mortgage payments. This leaves little room for saving, investing, or covering unexpected expenses. To manage this growing debt burden, families are often forced to make difficult choices, such as cutting back on essential expenses, taking out consolidation loans, or relying on credit to cover day-to-day costs. However, the more they borrow, the harder it becomes to escape the cycle of debt. Debt management is key in overcoming this issue. Strategies such as budgeting, debt repayment plans, and financial counselling can help, but without broader systemic changes, the middle class will continue to face financial pressure. Number 4. Job insecurity and the rise of the gig economy. Another major contributor to the shrinking middle class in the UK is job insecurity, a growing concern as more workers are being pushed into temporary, part-time, or gig work rather than traditional, full-time employment with stable benefits. The rise of the gig economy, where short-term contracts and freelance jobs replace permanent roles, has transformed the job market, leaving many middle-class workers without the financial security they once enjoyed. The gig economy has grown rapidly in sectors like ride-sharing, Uber, Lyft, food delivery services, Deliveroo, Just Eat, and freelancing. While these jobs offer flexibility and the potential for immediate income, they often come with significant downsides. No job benefits, like pensions or paid sick leave, no guaranteed income, and the constant uncertainty of work availability. Unlike traditional full-time jobs, gig workers typically lack the stability of a fixed salary, which creates financial unpredictability. A driver for a rideshare company or a freelance graphic designer might have a profitable month, only to face a sharp decline in income the next. This instability makes it incredibly difficult for middle-class families to plan for their financial futures, whether that's saving for a home, education, or retirement. Moreover, contract work and zero-hour contracts, where employees aren't guaranteed a set number of hours, have become more prevalent, particularly in industries like hospitality and retail. These jobs often offer lower pay and fewer benefits, which further erodes the financial security of middle-class workers. As job security decreases, Many individuals find themselves working multiple gig jobs just to make ends meet. However, juggling multiple sources of income can lead to burnout and mental health challenges. To adapt, workers need to consider diversifying skills or pursuing more stable industries like technology, healthcare, or skilled trades, where opportunities for long-term employment and benefits are still more common. But until job security improves, the strain on the middle class will continue to grow. Number 5. Rising cost of healthcare and education. The rising costs of healthcare and education are putting an increasing strain on the UK's middle class, further contributing to the growing economic divide. While the UK has a public healthcare system, NHS, that provides many services free at the point of use, the burden of healthcare costs still affects the middle class in ways that often go unnoticed. Firstly, despite the NHS providing a safety net, there has been a steady increase in private healthcare spending. Many middle-class families are opting for private health insurance or paying for private treatments due to long NHS waiting times or the inability to access certain services. For example, dental care and optical care are not fully covered by the NHS, meaning families often have to cover the cost themselves. The cost of seeing a private specialist or getting urgent medical attention can range in the hundreds or thousands of pounds, placing extra pressure on family budgets. In addition, the cost of prescriptions has increased, and for those not eligible for free prescriptions, these expenses add up quickly, further exacerbating financial strain. For many in the middle class, the fear of unexpected medical bills looms large, especially as they face rising premiums for private health coverage. Education costs are another major concern. Even though tuition fees for higher education in the UK are capped, they still represent a substantial financial burden for many middle-class families, with fees at around £9,250 per year for most university courses. Coupled with the high living expenses of students, many families are taking on student loans to support their children's education. As tuition fees increase, and with student debt becoming more burdensome, it's not uncommon for young adults to graduate with massive loans, which they may spend years, if not decades, paying off. This financial pressure from both healthcare and education leaves little room for families to save for the future, invest, or even enjoy their lives in the way they once could. Until more affordable solutions are found, the middle class will continue to feel the squeeze. Number 6. Lack of financial literacy and planning. A major factor contributing to the shrinking middle class in the UK is the widespread lack of financial literacy and poor financial planning. Many people, especially those from middle-class backgrounds, are never properly taught how to manage their money, invest wisely, or plan for their long-term financial security. As a result, they often make decisions that can have long-lasting negative impacts on their financial health. Financial education is often overlooked in the UK education system. While schools may teach basic math skills, the essentials of personal finance, such as budgeting, saving, investing, and understanding credit, are rarely covered in detail. As a result, many individuals enter adulthood without the necessary tools to manage their finances effectively. Without understanding the concepts of compound interest, taxation, or the importance of emergency funds, they are left vulnerable to financial stress and unexpected expenses. The consequences of this lack of financial knowledge are clear. Many middle-class families live paycheck to paycheck, lacking a solid financial safety net. Instead of setting up proper retirement plans, they rely on ad hoc savings or company pensions that may not be enough to sustain them in their later years. This lack of forward planning leaves them at risk of financial insecurity when retirement comes, as they haven't built up adequate savings or investments. Additionally, many individuals struggle to avoid debt traps like credit cards, payday loans, and other high-interest borrowing. Without understanding how interest works or how credit scores affect their financial future, people often end up with mounting debt that feels nearly impossible to escape. To counter this, It's crucial for individuals to invest time in improving their financial literacy. This means learning the basics of money management, seeking professional advice when needed, and creating a realistic plan for the future. By improving financial understanding, the middle class can make informed choices, avoid financial pitfalls, and build a stronger economic foundation for generations to come. Number 7. Erosion of job benefits and pensions. Another critical factor in the shrinking UK middle class is the erosion of job benefits and pension schemes, which were once a staple of middle class financial security. For many years, a steady full-time job with generous benefits such as healthcare, paid vacation, and a company pension was the foundation of the British middle class. However, this model is now under threat as more companies scale back or eliminate these benefits in favour of cheaper, more flexible options for employers. One of the most significant changes is the decline in employer-sponsored pensions. Historically, companies would contribute a substantial portion to an employee's retirement fund, offering long-term security for workers after they retire. However, many businesses are shifting away from defined benefit pensions, which guarantee a set income after retirement, in favour of defined contribution plans, where employees and employers contribute a set amount, but the final pension amount depends on investment performance. This shift leaves many workers vulnerable to market fluctuations and uncertain futures in retirement. Additionally, the rise of zero-hour contracts, part-time work, and gig economy roles has eroded the availability of benefits. Workers in these sectors often lack access to pensions, paid sick leave, or healthcare benefits, further widening the gap between the middle class and higher income earners who still enjoy robust benefits packages. This creates a two-tier system where those in more traditional salaried positions continue to receive benefits, while others are left to fend for themselves in an increasingly volatile job market. Without these crucial benefits, the middle class is less able to save for retirement, deal with unexpected health issues, or even take paid time off to recover from illness. The absence of a strong safety net leaves many families vulnerable to financial setbacks, making it even more difficult to maintain a middle-class lifestyle. The decline of job benefits and pensions contributes significantly to the financial insecurity felt by the UK's middle class, as they find themselves forced to shoulder more of the financial burden on their own. Number 8. Automation and technological displacement. As the world becomes more technologically advanced, automation and artificial intelligence, AI, are reshaping industries and driving job displacement at an alarming rate. In the UK, this technological shift is significantly affecting the middle class, particularly in sectors that once offered stable, well-paying jobs. From manufacturing to retail and even finance, automation is rapidly replacing human workers, contributing to the erosion of the middle-class workforce. One of the most visible examples of automation's impact is in the retail sector, where the rise of self-checkout machines, online shopping, and delivery services has reduced the need for human cashiers, stock clerks, and customer service representatives. In fact, research shows that over 250,000 retail jobs in the UK were lost in the past decade due to automation and the growth of e-commerce platforms like Amazon. With fewer entry-level and mid-tier roles available, individuals who once depended on these jobs for their livelihoods now face increasing challenges in finding stable, well-paid work. Automation is also making its way into skilled sectors. For instance, in finance, AI-driven tools are now capable of processing complex financial transactions, performing audits, and even advising clients, reducing the demand for human accountants, brokers, and analysts. Similarly, driverless vehicles threaten the jobs of truck drivers, taxi drivers, and even delivery personnel, all of whom once relied on these positions for steady income. While technology undoubtedly brings efficiency and productivity gains, it also displaces workers who may not have the skills required to transition into higher level or more technical roles. The growing skills gap means that many middle-class workers, especially those without advanced education or technical training, find themselves left behind in this new economy. As automation continues to advance, the UK's middle class will need to adapt, reskill, and embrace new opportunities to avoid further job losses and ensure they can thrive in an increasingly automated world. Number 9. Housing crisis and the struggle to buy property. The UK's housing crisis is one of the most significant factors driving the decline of the middle class. Over the past few decades, house prices have skyrocketed, far outpacing wage growth. This makes it increasingly difficult for middle-class families, especially younger generations, to buy their first home, a milestone that was once seen as a key part of financial security and upward mobility. The affordability gap between wages and property prices has widened dramatically. In major cities like London, Bristol, and Manchester, property prices have risen to levels that are completely out of reach for many first-time buyers. According to the Office for National Statistics, ONS, the average house price in the UK has more than doubled since 2000, while wages have not kept pace. As a result, many people are being priced out of the market and are forced to either rent for longer or delay home ownership indefinitely. In addition to high property prices, many middle-class families are also burdened with huge mortgage debts. For those who have been able to buy a home, the increasing cost of mortgage repayments, especially with the rise in interest rates, is putting immense financial pressure on household budgets. Even for those with stable jobs and decent incomes, making monthly mortgage payments can be a struggle, leaving little room for savings or investment. The rental market isn't much better. High demand and low supply have led to soaring rents, which further restricts the ability of middle-class families to save for a deposit. Landlords are increasingly raising rent prices, and tenants are finding themselves squeezed by rising living costs in every direction. As home ownership becomes more elusive for younger generations, the financial gap between the wealthier few, who can afford to buy property, and the middle class continues to grow. The housing crisis represents one of the biggest barriers to financial security for the UK's middle class, and exacerbates existing inequalities, making it harder for people to climb the economic ladder. Without intervention, this trend is likely to persist, leaving fewer opportunities for the middle class to build lasting wealth through property ownership. Number 10. The decline of traditional industries and the shift to a service economy. The decline of traditional industries and the rise of a service-based economy is another critical factor contributing to the shrinking middle class in the UK. Historically, sectors like manufacturing, construction, and mining provided stable, well-paying jobs for a large portion of the middle class. These jobs were often unionised, offered pensions, and provided a clear path for workers to move up the economic ladder. However, over the past few decades, these industries have seen significant declines, and the UK economy has shifted towards service-oriented sectors, often with lower pay and fewer benefits. The decline of manufacturing in particular has had a profound impact. Once the backbone of the British economy, factories and industrial plants employed millions of people across the country, particularly in regions like the north of England and South Wales. However, as globalisation and automation have taken hold, many of these jobs have been outsourced to countries with cheaper labour or replaced by robots. For example, once popular industries such as textiles, steel, and automobile manufacturing have seen dramatic declines, leaving entire communities without traditional employment opportunities. As the economy becomes more service-based, many of the jobs in sectors like retail, hospitality, and call centres offer much lower wages and fewer benefits than those in manufacturing. Additionally, service jobs are often more vulnerable to economic downturns and technological displacement. For instance, retail workers face the growing trend of automation through self-checkout systems and online shopping, while hospitality workers are increasingly replaced by robots in certain areas of service delivery. This shift to a service economy has made it harder for many middle-class workers to maintain their previous standard of living. They are now competing for jobs in industries that offer less job security, lower wages, and fewer opportunities for advancement. As these traditional industries continue to shrink, the middle class faces a growing gap in income and stability, unable to tap into the economic mobility that was once available in manufacturing and industrial sectors. The UK's middle class is left to adapt to a rapidly changing job market where stability and upward mobility are harder to come by. The shrinking middle class in the UK isn't just a statistic, it's a reality that affects millions of people every day. From the soaring cost of housing to the automation of jobs, many of the factors that were once the foundation of middle-class security are quickly disappearing. People who once believed in the stability of a 9-to-5 job, home ownership, and a comfortable retirement are now grappling with rising insecurity and uncertainty about their financial future. But it's not all doom and gloom. The key to navigating this shift is awareness. By understanding the reasons behind the shrinking middle class, we can take proactive steps to improve our financial literacy, adapt to new industries, and plan for a future that might look different from the one our parents had. The economic landscape is changing, and it's up to us to keep up. Whether it's investing in new skills, adjusting our spending habits, or rethinking long-term savings, there are ways to weather the storm. The middle class may be shrinking, but with the right knowledge and strategies, we can ensure that we aren't left behind. If this video opened your eyes, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. We put a lot of effort into creating content that matters, and your feedback truly helps us improve. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to our channel. It's just one click, and it means the world to us.